I figured out how I can enjoy new Trek. This is a bit of a revelation for me. Welcome to SciTrek, your sci-fi TV and movie channel. So, I have a bit of a problem with some elements of new Trek because I'm afraid canon actually matters to me. I'm one of those annoying people that doesn't really like prequels because they tend to pee on canon. I was frustrated by the J.J. Abrams Star Treks because, they changed so much about what I love about Star Trek. Even though I then learned to love those movies, I just don't think of them as Trek. So how do I enjoy new Trek? Because, unfortunately, they do change canon quite a lot. The first season, definitely, of Discovery changed canon quite a lot. The second season did a little bit. And Strange New Worlds is starting to step on the toes of canon as well. And it irritates me. Even in Picard, they sort of change things or make silly mistakes, things that I know aren't right. And I get frustrated. And you guys know I get frustrated because I then do videos about it. So how do we enjoy new Trek when they keep doing things like Spock gets a sister we knew nothing about, or now Spock started a relationship with Nurse Chapel, something that we knew nothing about, or they start a war with somebody that we knew nothing about, or something else? Well, I think I figured it out. It's not really Star Trek. Now, before you get annoyed at me, I'm going to sort of refine that a little bit. It's obviously still Star Trek. And if you love the new Trek, all power to you. I'm not telling you whether you're right or wrong. If you hate Star Trek, I'm not telling you you're right or wrong. This is my personal opinion. How do I frame or think about Star Trek so I can actually just enjoy it and stop getting wound up by it?
I take it back. You're not a genius.
I'm going to think of it as Star Trek 2.0. It's not quite the same as Star Trek that we know and love, as in Voyager, Deep Space Nine, and most importantly, The Next Generation.
She's ready. Engage!
I'm going to try to remember that this is a completely new iteration of Star Trek, that these are new actors in those roles, and that Spock is a little bit different to the Spock we know because that actor, wants to maybe put a little bit of himself into it. And I don't blame him. I kind of understand it. Kirk is going to be a little bit different. Pike is going to be a little bit different. So maybe we shouldn't stress it. Now, with Strange New Worlds, I have to admit, I'm struggling to get into the series. We've just had the 5th episode, and actually, I enjoyed it. I thought it was a really good episode. It was funny. It was quite clever. It, showed us different aspects of a character. In lots of ways, it was the essence of Star Trek, a transporter accident. It was that kind of thing. That is iconic sort of Star Trek storylines. I know it wasn't a transporter accident before you get into the comments, but it's that sort of thing. And I really think Strange New Worlds is trying to sort of replicate some of those original series episodes that we had before. It's trying to feel like Roddenberry Star Trek, and that's not a bad thing either. But as I said, they keep messing with canon. Now, the Church Chapel thing, I actually had somebody email me saying, right, that's it now, I've had enough of this. They've pissed around with canon again. Since when does Spock have a relationship with Nurse Chapel? I don't actually remember anything in Star Trek that says he didn't. So if they break up at some point during Strange New Worlds, then, maybe canon isn't messed with. Now, there is a theory going around that actually Strange New Worlds is a different timeline. It's actually not the same timeline as the original series. You could argue that maybe something happened in Enterprise during the Temporal Cold War, and all of New Trek is a slightly different timeline. I hate that sort of thing. It winds me up. But you could argue that. You could argue this is perhaps a Kelvin timeline. Now, there are other things about Strange New Worlds that are irritating me slightly. Pike has not been in it enough. Now, it has been said that she's on paternity leave, basically. His wife has recently had a new child, and that's why he's not been in the early episodes of Strange New Worlds as much as he normally would be. To that, I would say, the producers need their heads examining. They knew when that baby was due. It wasn't a surprise, so they really should have adjusted the filming schedule to allow Pike to be in it as normal. Not just have episodes where he's not in it. Now, I know we got to see the wider Enterprise crew and stuff, and they get to stand forward. So maybe that's what they're thinking. We don't want this to be the Pike show. But Anson Mount is the most popular, I think, character on there, and he really is the captain of the ship. He has to be in every episode. The captain is vital. So that has frustrated me. They've changed the Enterprise, which frustrates me. Those crew quarters are freaking massive. And to be honest, so are the shuttles. They're enormous. That is a little irritating. So, again, these are the things that they keep changing. But if you don't think of it, again, as original Star Trek, if you think of it as Star Trek 2.0, with a slightly different attitude from the creators, then I think you can actually enjoy New Trek a little bit more without getting quite as frustrated as I have been.
But the most damning thing of all, I think I can live with it. And if I had to do it all over again, I would.
So that's what I'm going to do in future. It's not Star Trek. Not really. It's Star Trek 2.0. There are going to be differences, and that's okay. Canon is going to be stepped on a little bit to tell the story, but let's be honest, Star Trek has always done that, and it's okay. Star Trek 2.0 is beautifully made. It's quite well written as far as Strange New Worlds goes. Yeah, okay, they make mistakes. Picard Season 3 was full of them, but it was still brilliant. So, I'm going to change my thinking. Star Trek 2.0. Maybe I can enjoy it a bit more without my heart getting a bit too rapid. But guys, tell me what you think. Get into the comments. Do you maybe think that, all right, all Star Trek is great Star Trek and we shouldn't worry about that anyway? Let's just enjoy the stories. Or do you actually think canon really does matter? And if something is on film, things like the Romulan War, the Klingon War, blah, 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 these things are actually set out in history of Star Trek, then they really shouldn't be messing with them. Really, the creators should know enough just to write in that. And actually, do you think that we didn't need Strange New Worlds as a show? If that show was based aboard the Endeavour with Captain Poke and, First Commander, I don't know, Stephen, and a different list of characters, that would have actually made a more interesting show because they wouldn't have been constrained by what we know is coming later in the original series. It's the same argument that I had for Enterprise. That show should have been called something like The Melbourne or anything. The creators are absolutely obsessed with having the Enterprise, Kirk, Spock, and so on. They don't need to. Get in the comments and tell me if you agree with me that actually that obsession is kind of ruining Star Trek. I wish they'd get away from it. It's a big universe, people. But get in the comments, tell me exactly what you're thinking. If you are new to the channel, please like, subscribe, hit that bell notification. It really helps us out. You can also go to patreon.com/SciTrek, where you get to see most of our new videos first. And for a small contribution each month, you get to see them without the adverts. As always, please stay safe, guys. Enjoy Star Trek 2.0, and I'll see you next time.